John Heyman, who was on with us yesterday, is reporting that of the 5 teams remaining in the sweepstakes for Juan Soto, 4 of them, the Dodgers are the team that's not, 4 of them are over $700 million. It's unbelievable. So the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays are over $700 million.
Now, here's the question, but are they all in the same vicinity of the years?
And we don't know how close to some team could be at 750, another could be at 7.
Right, but some could be at 7 for 15 years, other could be at 700 for 13 years or 10. I don't know if it'll be 10 because that's $70 million a year. Mm-hmm. So you really don't know. I would think. Don't you think that's what probably was worked out? I know they didn't take offers when they had the dog and pony shows a couple of weeks ago, but wasn't the conversation, all right, guys, this is what we're looking at. If you're not north of $600 million, let's just say goodbye now.
Right.
You think those conversations were had?
Maybe they could have talked parameters. Maybe. Yeah. It's going to be over this.
Right. If you're trying to do something cute, we're not in. Maybe they're saying no deferred money. We're looking north of 600, 650. We're looking north of 12 years. If you can't do that, if you can't dance on that dance floor, then bow out now. And it looks like those are the 5 or at least 4 that stayed. Now, so the Dodgers out?
Still in it. They're still, because what the Dodgers do, they're so smart. They kind of hover to see if there's an opening for them to jump in. They tried to do it with Bryce Harper, didn't work.
Right.
But they try to do that and see if they could get a better deal. And, they're the kings of the deferment, too.
Well, kings of the deferment, but they also just won a World Series. So they may not be as in need of him. Mm-hmm. And remember, they
weren't in need of Blake Snell, and they signed him.
Well, but they kind of were when you look at the way that rotation
but they're all healthier now.
No, and they are, and they're going to get, obviously, Shohei back to pitching. But listen, they're going to do everything they can to get better, right? Because they're still in a division, Michael, that it's not, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. They just won the World Series. But would you be shocked if the Padres, beat them out next year? I mean, the Padres almost beat them out this year.
Wouldn't be shocked if the Mets or the Phillies beat them out.
So, but I'm just saying, in their own division, there's no guarantee they even win that division. National League stacked, man. I mean, there's still, and you've got teams like the Diamondbacks that aren't bad. They went to the World Series 2 years ago. They were eliminated, on the last weekend this year. So we'll see. The National League's got a lot of really good teams.
So I was thinking about this. I wonder if you co-sign this with me. So let's say it's $50 million a year. Mm-hmm. Could be more, but let's just 50. And we had a lot of people calling yesterday. This is disgraceful. So much money, and right now it feels like that. So let's go back 2 years. So Judge signs a contract with the Yankees, 9 years, $360. It seemed obscene. Now you could make the point it's a bargain.
Yeah.
The salaries for athletes are the only graph in the world that never goes down. It always goes up. So that's why Scott Boras puts opt-outs in his long contracts, because he knows the market's going to change and go up even more. But you're going to look at that $50 million that you pay him and go, in 10 years it could be, wow, this is a bargain. So I don't think you have to get locked into how sickened you are by 50 years of $50 million. And I also think he's going to opt out after 7.
I know we always ask this question, and it just keeps going up and up. But what's the day it turns?
I don't know. I don't know if there's that day.
Well, I just think it's on the table.
Has the quarterback market turned?
No, it hasn't, because the television money continues to grow. That's not the case in baseball.
Right.
See, that's why I wonder, with all these regionals going under, Michael, when does that affect the players? I mean, you've got baseball propping up 5, 6 different regional networks. That was always the guaranteed money. When these regional networks would pay billions of dollars for local rights, that was always there for them. Television rights are good. The television rights, that's why they're scrambling with these apps, because those are some of the companies that are willing to give Major League Baseball money. But, Michael, if the regionals continue to struggle, you're going to start to see, I would think, it affect the bottom line. How could it not? Because that was always the panacea. 162 games. Networks need programming. They're still going to pay for this. But if they're going under, is that a little indication that it might be trending in a different direction?
If they continue to sink, I think you might be right, but I think they'll find other streams. And I say that on purpose because I think streaming is going to be the answer to make up the money they're losing.
True. But I don't know that money. Is that money as much as it was for what the regionals were forking over?
Well, I mean, if Rob Manfred, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, can actually deliver all the streaming rights to an Amazon, you're talking billions and billions of dollars. But do the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Red Sox want to give up their streaming rights? I don't know. Because they're still tied to cable companies, too.
But they want to try to keep it all self-contained.
Yes.
Now, you're not talking about, like, Apple's relationship with MLS. You're just talking about having one universal app that occasionally these games are on.
It could take on any kind of...
Because for people that are not familiar, like, MLS is all on Apple. Like, you watch all the games on Apple.
They have every game.
If
they have every
Netflix
game.
says, you know what, we want to have baseball. We'll give them $3 billion to have every single game available.
And then they would pay for all the announcers, or would teams still pay for would teams pay
Well,
for
I guess according to the announcers that are under contract, and maybe the teams would have the right to approve or whatever.
The problem with that is that some teams would jump at it, and teams like the Yankees, like, listen, my network's doing great. I don't want to sacrifice that.
Right.
You know, but there's still, I still think it would be a good idea for there to be one universal app for all these games, instead of I got some on Peacock, I got some on Amazon, I got some on Paramount or whatever. Like, I would like to just see it be, what is it right now? Apple, Peacock, and Amazon, right? Those are the three. Am I missing any of the other ones?
Peacock and Amazon. Yeah, I think that's it.
So, and however many others, not going to turn anything down.
Amazon just is the Yankees. They don't have a national deal. Amazon just does 20 games a
right,
game.
but I'm saying, like, but for just to have one universal app that people can get. I know he's trying to see if there's. Try to get a way to make these games available, like these local blackouts, and it's ridiculous. Sell the game and make these games available. That's how you really grow the sport. But everybody wants their money.
No.
But to get back to the original question, at what point does it bottom out?
Don't know. I mean, people smarter than me don't know.
Because, like you said, you brought up quarterbacks. Well, the NFL prints money. I mean, we make fun of these packages, these Thursday games, or these 9:30 games in England. And
there's a reason for them, though.
They're still killing. That people are still spending a lot of money. Are they doing that for baseball? If that revenue stream were to bottom out or at least level off, I would think it would have to come at the expense of salaries.
I was thinking about this with Soto. So, what Scott's going to try to do is get him more than the $700 million that Otani got. And more than the average annual value of either the way you look at it, 43 or 46. Mm-hmm. But don't you think that Otani's a better player than Soto?
Yeah, there's no question.
I mean,
I don't think he's as good as Judge.
He isn't as good as Judge, but it's the age factor.
Right.
Otani was older. Otani was 30. Soto's 26. But as a total player and a package that brings eyeballs to the team, Otani might be the most valuable piece in all of Major League Baseball.
Otani, where would you rank him as a hitter?
I'd say he's in the top 10.
He's in the top 10. Where would you rank him as a pitcher?
Top 15.
All right, so if I got a top 10 hitter and a top 15 pitcher on my team,
and a guy steals 50 bases,
and I'm paying him what, 40? Like, I know forget the
$70 million a year.
That's $35 million for each side. I mean, I pay $35 million for pitchers. I mean, $35 million for hitters.
It's $23 million for each side for what it's actually worth.
Right. So,
and also, the Dodgers have come up with a way to circumvent the fact that the taxes in California are out of this world.
Right.
Because, so he gets paid $2 million a year, right? And every year he has $68 million deferred at the end of the 10 years. He can take that money living in Texas. So that means he doesn't get taxed on state tax. You can take it living in Florida. It's a creative way to get around the fact that California's taxes are ridiculous.
But the dirty little secret, I don't even know if it's that much of a secret, Michael, is that this is all about age and timing, which I guess falls under the category of timing for Soto. Soto is not the best player in baseball. And he's not a complete player. Like you just said, Otani, he could be a top 15 pitcher. He's a top 10 hitter. He's a better player than Soto. I think Aaron Judge is a better player than Soto. I understand that part of me giving him $700 million is the fact he's only 26 years old, but I'm paying that for the bat. He's not a great fielder. He's not a great base runner.
Yeah, I brought that up to a baseball person today. They said, okay, all that's true. Neither was Ted Williams. You're paying for his bat.
All right,
but of course you are. I mean,
right.
But to me,
his bat is so otherworldly. That's
if your bat is otherworldly, then unless your defense is regularly costing you games,
right?
Why not? What are we talking about?
Right.
I hate to say it.
They got to the World Series with his defense.
Yeah, I mean, was he glaringly bad in the field for the Yankees?
No, but I mean, he's a Gold Glove finalist. But I'll tell you, I watched every game. He's not a good outfielder.
if you woke up from a coma and saw that there was a guy that's going to be paid $700 million over X amount of years, you would think he was a five-tool guy. He's not a five-tool guy. So, listen, he hits for power. He gets on base.
One big tool.
Yeah.
Hitting.
Oh.
Yeah.
But even hitting's got different aspects. So he's got a great eye. He can hit for power.
He is a multi-tool hitter.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
He can do everything you need him to do behind the plate.
And, people bring up, he doesn't hit, he doesn't hit 300. Yeah, but his on-base percentage is like 440.
Is pretty incredible. Listen, he's a great player, but he's not the best player, but he's going to be paid as the highest ever. It would be interesting, some of these players in the analytic world, and even just in the baseball world, like how much would Ted Williams make? Because we never broke down Ted Williams' defense. How would we know his defense? There's no highlights. All we can look at are numbers, right? Most of the whatever fielding analysts. Let's be honest. I always said this about sports in general, Peter. Any defensive analytics for Ted Williams were probably completely made up. I mean, who was like sitting there analyzing every single time he made a play in the outfield? Nobody did. They wrote it down as errors, and that was it. Then nobody knew his range. Who's writing down his range? So they're probably just all made up analytics. He was just a hitter. Like we know Willie Mays was a great fielder because we've seen the highlights, and also he played a little bit later than Ted Williams did. But all these numbers from guys back 70 years ago, how would you know? Well, you go by your stats.
I totally agree with you. It's also across other sports, guys. This is not a baseball thing. Up until a couple of years ago, Kirk Cousins may not have accrued the most salary, but no one did better in terms of their dollars earned than Kirk Cousins. He was never the best quarterback in football. Not one season of his career. And yet he's had more guaranteed money than anybody year after year after year. Guys, how many basketball contracts have we seen over the last few years? We're going, who's getting $40 million? It happens in every sport. It's a mix of how good you are with the timing of your contract. In the case of Soto, at least he's still
just
a top.
Age.
It's also he is a top level player.
But he's also the example that if you have a kid, like I have Marco, and Marco's a really good baseball player. I don't know how good he's going to be. But looking at Soto, if Marco turned out to be a great player, Soto is the poster child for not sending your kid to college. Think about the money you lost.
Right.
That's what killed Judge. Judge was just starting his baseball career. Soto's already built up a resume where he can get $700 million. Well, Judge was just breaking into the league at this point.
Yeah,
at 25, 26.
Yeah.